Have you ever felt like you're standing on the edge, ready to take the leap into starting your own coaching business, but something is holding you back? In this interview, I had the privilege of chatting with Carri Richard, a mindset and transition coach who shared powerful insights into how fear, imposter syndrome, and financial worries can stop us in our tracks, and how to break through them. Carri talked about the science behind how our brain works, why you can't use your own superpower on yourself, and the importance of embracing the process, not just the outcome. I know this conversation will inspire and equip you to take that next step. So let's dig in. Okay, welcome everybody. Today we're diving into a topic that I know is relevant to so many of you, especially if you're an aspiring coach who's ready to make the leap from your regular job into running your own coaching business, but something is holding you back. I'm thrilled to introduce my good friend, Carri Richard, a mindset and transition coach who specializes in helping people overcome the mental roadblocks that stop them from going after what they really want so that they can thrive outside their comfort zone. Carri has a unique ability to pinpoint how mindset is affecting your actions, even when you don't realize it. And she's here to help us explore why mindset can be the number one thing standing between you and your dream coaching business. Carri, it is fantastic to have you here with us today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, Jackie, thanks so much for the opportunity. This is my favorite thing to talk about. It is my passion. So I appreciate the time and attention.
Awesome. Okay, so Carri, to kick things off, can you share a bit about your background and what led you to specialize in mindset coaching? Was there a particular moment in your own life or career when you realized just how much mindset was impacting your own success?
Oh my gosh, that's a big, big question, Jackie.
All
So
right.
my background, I come from high tech. I am a computer geek. I was in the corporate world for about 25 years, and I did very, very well in it. I became a thought leader in the industry. I had worldwide teams, and I was mentoring a lot of young engineers and doing a lot of brainstorming, a lot of innovation. It was wonderful on the outside. I was getting paid very well. Had a lot of autonomy. I was traveling all over. From the outside, it looked like the dream job. But what was going on, which I could not resolve the conflict, is the outside looked so good. And the inside, I was dying inside. I had a young son that I was raising, and it just all of a sudden, nothing was congruent. And so I had started looking at what's going on from my perspective, why this isn't working. And what I realized, this is where I really started delving into mindset, into how we relate to things, what are perceptions, why was this so great at this point and now it's not great at all, and how to break through that and allow myself to go after what I really, really wanted to do, which is what I'm doing right now.
That's an amazing story, Carri, and I think it highlights that what you see on the outside isn't necessarily what's going on inside. How did that happen for you that you got that insight? Because that's one of the challenges for a lot of people is that they just don't get that, right? They don't connect the dots.
Absolutely. Or they tell themselves, it was really interesting. As I left the corporate world, there was a lot of transition going on within the company itself. We talk about how stressful transition is. And I heard as I was leaving, I heard these people say, I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm just going to get through the suck. And yes, every business, the business I have right now I have challenges and struggles. It's not all unicorns and rainbows, but this idea of kind of just shutting down, like what is going on and information, our bodies speak to us, our brains speak to us. There's a lot more going on than what our logic tells us. And so when we ignore that, at some point that pull becomes so uncomfortable. And so for me, I don't even know if I can pinpoint the moment that it just became too uncomfortable, but I can tell you a year out of corporate, I had a young son who said, "You know what, Mom, I've seen you more in the last year than I've seen you in my entire life."
Oh, wow. That's huge.
Absolutely. And so there were a lot of factors, and I got some help. I started speaking to people who looked at different things than just the black and white and the numbers and what it looked like in the car I had and the house I had and the this I had. And so, yeah, talk to
Awesome.
somebody.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's a pretty cool story. So the reason that we're kind of doing this vlog today is because we know that there's a lot of people out there, a lot of coaches out there who want to start their own coaching business, but something's holding them back. And so, I wanted to bring you in on this because being that you're not only a mindset coach, but you're also a transition coach. And this is a, huge transition in someone's life when they decide to, as you did, leave behind the 9-to-5, the corporate career, and move into something very scary and very different. So you help people navigate these big life changes, like moving from that stable job to a business owner. In your experience, what are the most common mindset barriers that stop people from taking the leap?
Oh, Jackie, these are big, big questions.
Oh, I know.
I know. I love it. Thank you. So the most common thing is actually how our brain works. So the most common thing is that it's new or novel, or it's not something that we've done before. And one of the things to look at your mindset, it's not just how you think, it's also how your brain works. And so we have this brain that has not quite evolved with our new lifestyle, right? We used to be on the tundra, getting chased by bears or saber-toothed tigers or things like this. And so our brains have evolved to have this fight or flight. We all talk about it, fight, flight, or freeze mentality, where if there's some perceived threat, we go into this mode, right? Well, the issue is that we have those kind of threats these days that are constant. We have constant threat, but our brain only understands I'm okay or I'm going to die.
Right.
And so when we present our mind with this brand new business that looks nothing like corporate or nothing like what you've done before, and especially if you're moving from corporate to a coaching, there's a lot more vulnerability here. There's no framework. You're kind of doing it yourself. So our brains tell us we're going to die. So it makes, and actually what the threats are, it's either a threat to our social standing because we're actually very tribal. We cannot do it alone. Or it's a threat based on something that we've seen before. It's our survival or our social standing, like our sense of, I'll say it a better way. It's our sense of belonging. So it's either we're not going to look good, right, in certain ways, or we're not going to be part of the tribe anymore. And so when that happens, that's when we get all these crazy thoughts that are like, oh, I can't I'm not ready. I don't know enough. What if this happens? What if that happens? So I say all that because I just want anybody who's listening to understand that your brain is functioning as designed. However, we have this executive center. We have the ability to make different choices. And so a lot of the foundation of what I do is really, I help people understand what their brain is doing so that these things, these like reactions and these feelings and these ideas, we can get a better perspective on them and make more aligned and empowered choices about it.
That makes a lot of sense. But what doesn't make a lot of sense is on the surface is a lot of coaches are used to guiding others on mindset. Like that's one of the things that coaches do. They dig into that topic, but they still struggle with their own mindset barriers like fear of failure or imposter syndrome. So why does that happen?
Well, as a very smart woman once said, you can't use your own superpower on yourself. But there's also this idea we have since birth, we have had like up until we're 7 or 8 years old, we are wide open. So everything that comes in is shaping our behavior, our thought patterns, our habits, I would say, right? Our brain is just coming up with patterns. So the only way for us to shift those patterns is for them to move into the conscious mind. And the only way for them to move into the conscious mind is to work with somebody else and reflect it, speak it, take a look at it, be guided by it. So just as I help others with their mindset, I have to do the same. I have my own mentors. I do my own practice because you cannot, Confucius said, you can't fix a broken mind with a broken mind.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is all very linked, and these are the kind of questions that I've had coming in. So why do coaches feel like they need to wait until they're more experienced or better prepared before launching their coaching business? What's really going on for them?
What's really going on is it's not safe. Their brain is telling them it's not safe, and their brain is telling them it's not safe because it's new and novel. This is any change in our behavior or any healing in our bodies introduces this idea to our brain that something's different. And so, our brain is very, very good at what it does, but it's a little too good. And so it's really starting to, we also have this reticular activation system, so we can start to speak to our brain. So the question, I give you an example. If somebody says, I don't know enough to get started, a lot of people will hide in education. Oh, I have to get this one more certification, or I have to go take this class, or I have to know this one thing. And you can ask yourself, you can ask your brain the question, a more powerful question. How can I start this business now and be okay with it?
Right.
And what we do is our mind is always on the search, and often it's on the search for safety, right? So it keeps us in the same little bubble. So ask yourself different questions.
Oh, that's really powerful. Yeah. And you would think as coaches, again, this is something that comes up a lot that I've heard even from clients of mine, because the basis of coaching is that powerful questioning.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that as coaches that we would be able to do this, but it's really hard to do that self-reflection piece on your own, right?
Well, let's talk about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because if I'm this great coach, right, who helps people with their mindset, then my mindset should be perfect.
Right.
And this is where that imposter syndrome gets I'm on the path just like everybody else that I work with. And so that imposter syndrome, it's another function of our brain telling us what you're doing is not safe. So again, it's asking better questions. Am I really an imposter here? Am I really saying things that I don't know to be true? Am I using all the education I have? Am I doing, it's reflecting back. It's this power of pause, notice what's going on, and then being curious about it. Because imposter syndrome is just, we've made it out to this big word. Oh, and it is good to have a name for it, right? Have you ever felt it, Jackie?
Oh, every damn day.
Exactly. So it's almost like there's a big relief in saying, oh my gosh, this is why it's happening, right? And it's actually biological, it's physiological. In addition, it's not mindset. We talk so much about like how we think and the things we need to say and affirmations, and those are all magnificent, but there's this lower level of like how we function that helps us understand, oh my gosh, I'm human with a brain, and it becomes much more workable.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So one of the other pieces that goes kind of alongside this, and I would imagine it's very similar, is a lot of people that are in their 9-to-5 job, earning whatever they're earning, knowing that they want to move on from that, keep telling themselves that they can't do it yet because they can't afford to, right? And I know that is a very real issue for many, many people, especially, in current economic climates across countries and all of that stuff. But is that really what's going on for them, or is it all linked to mindset?
That's a great question. And I'll start with it depends. right? Because it really does depend. So there's two factors here. One is just pure numbers of like not having like fantasy thinking or fantastical thinking that I'm going to go, say you make $250,000 a year in your job, and then you start a coaching business, and there are coaches out there, and it can happen, but there are coaches out there that says, I'm going to teach you how to make $250,000 in your first year. It happens for some, it doesn't happen for all. So there's some like really looking at your own financial situation, and do you have 6 months? Do you have a year? Do you have like, what kind of space are you giving yourself to begin this business? And I know a lot of corporate people who do both at the same time. I did that for about 1.5 years. I got trained, I got certified, and that was a full-time job, and then moved into doing both at the same time. So there's the numbers perspective, but from the mindset perspective, you're absolutely right. And it's really looking at, money is a human construct. And so we have a relationship to it. So it's really it's the mindset. It's looking at the health of your relationship with money and where it comes from. And I do see often women and men who come out of corporate, they have a paycheck that comes every 2 weeks or every month or every week or whatever. There's structure and rules, and like they take it for granted, and they go into this world where you do the work and the money comes, right? It's not so there's definitely some mindset work around a relationship to money and where it comes from.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense too. So we did touch on imposter syndrome. How can someone begin to recognize when imposter syndrome is showing up in their lives? Are there any kind of signs or patterns that they can watch out for?
Well, I think understanding what the concept is, right? Imposter syndrome was when you're telling yourself you're not enough for something. You don't have enough education, you don't know enough, blah, 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 right? That you're kind of faking it. It's very common. We all do it. It's actually, again, it's a function of the brain that's saying, this is not safe. What are you doing? Let's go back to what we have done for a long time. And so often the symptoms of being in that place is, I'm too busy to do this. This isn't working for me because it's so freaking uncomfortable, right? There's confusion, anger, frustration, blame. I'm not doing well because my coach told me wrong. I mean, that happens. Or the market is this, or the blah, 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 right? Anxiety. We all know what anxiety feels like. And also going blank. So there's fight, flight, freeze. And when we feel like our social standing or our sense of belonging is being threatened, we're going to do one of those things. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that a lot of people watching probably feel that way. They'll recognize those symptoms. They may not have realized that it was imposter syndrome. So I think the whole point of this conversation is really awesome, because we're kind of laying out what people are feeling, and then being able to help them recognize that it's not just, it is what it is. This is fixable. Like, recognize it, understand what it is, and you can fix that. Right?
Exactly. Awareness is the first, like, find yourself in this conversation, because we're all in some piece of it. One more thing about imposter syndrome is this concept of I'm not enough. And in the Toltec tradition, the biggest lie that we tell ourselves is that we're imperfect. And so it really comes from this deep, deep root of I'm not enough. And there's no magic wand that if I could bop you on the head and you could believe forevermore that you're enough, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right?
Mindset coaches would not exist.
Exactly. I'd probably be on a beach somewhere. But just know that there is some piece of us that thinks our brain is trying to protect us from things that are actually good for us. It's just, it's what we've got. So
while we're talking about kind of the symptoms and then how to manage them, let's talk about transitions, because that's a big part of what you do. So for somebody who's thinking about moving from a regular job to running a business, that often comes with a lot of uncertainty, right? Like that is a big part of the fear too, is just not knowing what's coming. So
Right.
how can people embrace the uncertainty and see it as part of the process rather than something to be feared?
Well, first of all, it's just accepting that it's there. This is I talk about the levels of learning. So the first level is unconscious incompetence. It's like we don't know what we don't know. So say I'm in corporate, like I was in corporate, the majority of my family was in corporate. Like we didn't have a lot of entrepreneurs. I didn't grow up around entrepreneurs. So it really was a very novel, very new environment for me. So there were things that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. So we all begin at that level. And then as I got trained in coaching and also creating a coaching business, I got training in both. Then I became consciously incompetent. I knew I needed to know it. I was not very good at it yet. And
Right.
this is where we practice, 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 practice. And then the next level is conscious competence. I know I need to do this. And I also have some practice at doing it. Right. And then there's this other level, which becomes unconscious competence. And this is what you talk about second nature. Like, I don't think about brushing my teeth. I also don't think about some of the things that I do in my work. Like, I don't have to plan it. I don't, you know, and often when we find something new, if we've been in corporate for a long time or we're very good at what we do, no matter what it is, a lot of what we do is unconscious competence. It's second nature. It's built in. We don't think a lot about it. And so now we put ourselves in a whole new environment where we start at the bottom step. And so I know my sister is 17 years older than me. She played the piano beautifully. So at 4 years old, I sat down to the piano and thought I should be a concert pianist. And we do the same thing. We move out of this environment that we're very skilled at, very good at, and we move into this environment where we don't know a lot. It's like, give yourself a break and give yourself the expectation you're not going to know everything. So that's the uncertainty. You can switch it around to say, you know what? I'm not supposed to know everything. I'm in a whole new ball field. And so you can kind of take some of the stickiness out of that uncertainty and just expect it. And then it's what do you do with it?
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to explore in this, Carri, is that one of your mantras or phrases, if you like, I think you even had it trademarked, was enjoy the ride, right? Make space, enjoy the ride. So
Yeah.
maybe the make space isn't in this, but the enjoy the ride piece certainly is. And so many people get caught up in this mindset when they're moving, when they're transitioning, that they completely miss out on the journey.
Yes. And let's hop back to transition. One of the biggest things that I work with people on in transition is really taking a look at what works for you in your current environment. What do you want to take with you? Because if we're not conscious in that transition, we're going to bring everything over into this new environment. And that's part of not enjoying the ride. It's, people say, well, no matter where you go, there you are.
Yeah.
Right. So I definitely encourage, if you're making a life transition, make it consciously, get some help, talk about it, take a look at it, because you can leave things that no longer serve you in this last environment. And really you get to bring the parts of you that you really want to bring into the new environment. But to your point, we can't do it alone.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for sure. So we're going to start wrapping this up.
Okay.
If you could give one piece of advice to aspiring coaches struggling with mindset barriers, what would it be?
First of all, give yourself a break.
Mm-hmm.
Put the bat away and talk to somebody. Reach out to somebody, find somebody and it doesn't mean you have to go into a full coaching program. It doesn't mean anything, but even an accountability partner, somebody, it's like, this is what I'm struggling with. Because when we leave it inside, it becomes a habit, it becomes a pattern. What we resist persists. And there's to change your mind, you have to do it with somebody else.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. All right. So Can you elaborate on the specific services and coaching programs that you offer?
I
What
would
type?
yeah.
Oh, I got a secondary to that. What
Yeah.
types of programs do you provide for individuals looking to overcome mindset barriers and make major transitions?
So I offer a couple different things. So one thing I offer, which I absolutely love, are retreats. And this is like the full pattern interrupt. So this is also working with the brain because we put you into a novel environment, like an environment that doesn't include your day-to-day, doesn't do all these things. I just got back from Portugal. They're varying all over the world. And this is, especially if somebody's looking at a transition, this can be a really, really powerful catalyst to get a real deep look at what works, what doesn't work, kind of a different perspective as they move into something else. I also have a 90-day program that's called Thriving Outside Your Comfort Zone. So again, often what I see is people get very excited, they get into something new and they're outside their comfort zone because it's new, but it's a push. It's oh my gosh, I'm so scared, or this, it's a struggle. And this program is designed to really give you the structure and the inspiration, the education, the tools to thrive outside your comfort zone, thrive with your brain telling you this is not safe. And then I have a mastermind group that called Act on It, which is also very supportive in taking the action of new, different, even if you want to up level your current business. It provides the structure and the community and the accountability to do that. And then I have bespoke one-on-one coaching for a few people if that's really what they're interested in. So
Yeah, that's a great menu. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
yeah.
All right. So, Carri, I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. Your insights in overcoming mindset barriers and making the leap into a coaching business, I think, are just so invaluable for the people watching. There's a lot of good nuggets in there, especially for those coaches who are ready to take the next step, but they feel stuck. For anyone watching who wants to learn more about how your services can help them break through their mindset barriers and succeed in their business, I would highly recommend that you reach out to Carri. Can you remind everyone how they can get in touch with you, Carri, and explore your services?
Absolutely. They can go to Carri Richard, CarriRichard.com. And in there, you can see some about my services. And then also I have a jumpstart call. So if you want to talk to me, you can connect with me there and I'd be happy to explore with you. I have one more thing that I'd like to say. We also talk to our minds, our brains through repetition. So if you listen to this vlog and you go, what? I don't listen to it a couple times. You may find new things as you listen.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Carri. This was amazing. And I can't wait to chat with you again in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Well, there you go. I hope you found the conversation as valuable as I did. One of the biggest takeaways for me was Carri's point about asking better questions. How shifting from I can't do this to how can I start now and be okay with it can change everything. If you resonated with this and you're ready to take that leap into your coaching business, I highly recommend reaching out to Carri. As she mentioned, Carri offers transformational retreats, a 90-day program, and one-on-one coaching designed to help you thrive outside your comfort zone. You'll find the links to her services in the caption below. And if you're ready for operational support and coaching in your coaching business, I'd love to help you through a synergy coaching call, which I will also link below. Wherever you are on your journey, I want to thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, keep thriving and enjoy the ride.